Hey yo, Go Format players, it's Skill Brown Magician here, and I'm back with the last Warrior profile. So I know it's been a little bit of time now. I got caught up a little bit, but I'm hoping to make videos again, and I wanted to start with another sub recommended series. I'm building this for Nobody's Business. He had this comment on the last video, and it had the most thumbs up, and he wanted a cool lockdown deck with Last Warrior from another planet. He's gonna lose his mind. You got chosen, good sir. Thank you for the awesome recommendation. So let's just get right into the key cards and the ones that, really are the inspiration for the deck. So the whole purpose for this build is to get into the Last Warrior from another planet as soon as possible. This is like your classic playground staple. It's everyone's like favorite card back then. Just such a busted effect. It was a fusion monster. Um, but in GOAT format, it's a little unwieldy. So how can I make this monster doable? His effect is when he's special summoned, you destroy all monsters on your side of the field, but neither player can summon monsters. So you cannot normal summon, special summon, flip summon. You can't do any of those things. You can only set, which is an interesting way to get around this. So to turbo into the Last Warrior, we have the Fusilier plus Metamorphosis combination because you can normal summon or set Fusi. It still retains its 7 stars, but it just goes down to 1400 attack, 1000 defense. But you combine that with Metamorphosis, go directly into Last Warrior. We are also running the Spice in Swift Gaia. You can actually just normal summon him directly from hand if there's no other cards in your hand. So he's a normal summonable 2300 beat stick, but what's more important is that he's a 7 star normal summonable. Of course, you have to set your whole hand, but because of the interesting monster count that we're running in this deck, it's pretty doable that you'll have an empty hand. Obviously, you need meta with these two cards to go into Last Warrior. We also are running some copies of Cyberstein just to get us into Last Warrior also. Then we are running the Spice in Interdimensional Matter Transporter. It is just your regular trap card, but what it does is you target one face-up monster you control and you banish it until the end phase. You may be wondering, like, I've never seen this card, like, why is that useful? Well, once you go through the replay and the stratagems, you'll get to see why it's so useful and just it's so versatile, and the utility that it has, man, it can block nearly anything, and you'll see what I mean. Also, we are running the one copy of Magic Cylinder. A Magic Cylinder is so gas in this deck. You'll see why in the replay. Uh, it puts in some work in the replays, and you'll see. So here is the actual profile. Here is the deck list, and yeah, I'm running 9 monsters, 16 spells, and 15 traps. So I'm not going to go into every single card, every single ratio, but I'll try to uh, be a little concise. I've been having so much fun with this deck because, like I said in the beginning, everyone just loves Last Warrior, and just having him on your field, it just feels so good. Um, Blocking summoning period, it's such a crazy effect to this day, even in modern format. So, in GOAT format, what is the best way to get Last Warrior out and to get him to stick? And this is what I came up with. So, really, all of these monsters are just to turbo into Last Warrior. Of course, this package you need Metamorphosis to get into Last Warrior, but we're running the 2 copies of Stein just to give us that um, extra gas to get into Last Warrior. Also, we're only running 2 copies of Cyberstein because, paying 5,000 life points isn't ideal. Hopefully, you're able to um, meta into your first copy of Last Warrior, and then maybe if you have life points left over and your Last Warrior gets taken out, you can go into your second copy with Stein. I am playing Morphing Jar just as a reset button. It's great because you just want to get cards back to your hand, and you just want to draw deeper into your deck. Sangan to search our low-level monsters here, and to also we're closing things out with Sinister Serpent. I'm playing Serpent because I really just want to have fodder in my hand all of the time. It's just such a great stall. It's such a great discard fodder. It's really good for delinquent duo, you know, delinquent duo proofing your hand. And honestly, um, yeah, the versatility is just I combo it with Tribute to the Doomed. And I haven't seen anyone play Tribute to the Doomed in a Last Warrior deck. And here's my take on it. The normal way that you see Last Warrior being played is usually this a similar monster lineup, and then it's combined with a much different trap lineup. And the traps usually consist of, fake trap to protect your I forget what it's called, Light of Intervention, I believe, and that's a continuous trap card which says you can't set monsters. Here's the issue with that. I don't like the fact that it's a continuous trap. I don't like the fact that it's a trap period and you have to set it first and then it combos off with your last warrior that you hopefully have up. It's just too many variables at stake, and you just have to run an entirely different trap lineup in order to support a continuous trap card like that. Um, I don't like that, and the reason why is because really all that's trying to do is solve a monster issue. And I decided, why not play the most busted, monster removal card in Trap Dust Shoot, because it just straight up gives you hand knowledge and it allows you to bounce any monster of your choice, which is so useful when you're playing and you're trying to just stick one monster on the board. If I can look into your hand and I see that you had DD Warrior Lady, easy bounce back. If I see that you have Tribe, easy bounce back. If you have, I'm trying to think of other monster options. I'm just trying to get rid of any monster from your hand. And I like Trap Dust Shoot for that. Why is that useful? Because then they don't even have a monster to set, and they don't even have, and it obviously combos with Solemn Judgment. So I'm getting carried away here. I said that I was going to keep it concise. So that's why I run Tribute to the Doomed, because it's just free monster removal. We're obviously running the two Noblemen of Crossout. Tribute to the Doomed is very much the same way. Combos well with Sinister Serpent. In this deck, maybe you have an extra copy of Scapegoat that you don't really need. Maybe you have an extra copy. You drew a Jar of Greed, which you could give up. Maybe you have an extra copy of like Swift Gaia, or you have an extra Fusey. You have Cyberstein, and it's too late in the game, and you don't have the 5,000 life points. You have a lot of options for Tribute to the Doomed, and it's just another way of dealing with monsters. And it's face up or face down. Okay. We're running triple scapegoat to help stall. Obviously pairs well with metamorphosis. We are trying to use metamorphosis with UC and with Swift Gaia though, ideally. We are running Prima because being able to bring back a UC, meta it off to go into Last Warrior can be really good. Also premature, bringing back boss monsters like Fusey is just really good too. The two interdimensional matter transporters, it just allows you to block anything. If they chain Ring, if they chain Mirror Force, if they chain Smashing Grounds. I know that Earth Aggro likes to use Smashing Grounds. Um, any sort of thing like Snatch Steel, for example. Um, you just bounce Last Warrior to the banish pile, and then it returns in the end phase. Yes, there is a window of opportunity for them to um, summon if it's during their turn, but if you play Interdimensional Matter Transporter during your turn, man, that could be uh, really clutch to still activate it back at the end of your turn and negate all summoning. And you can also use it during their turn, and it's just really useful too, to be able to avoid the Book of Moon, to avoid the Snatch Steal, to avoid, whatever it is they have up their sleeve. Also, Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, Magic Cylinder. Um, I just want to make sure that they're not, you know, swinging in. Um, Also, the Ring of Destruction Magic Cylinder helps because the burn aspect is so powerful, especially when you're attacking for 2350 at a time. So if you just hit them with 2350, 2350, uh, you know, let's say they use Duo, if you ring them or you magic cylinder them, that's just for game already. And it just comes out a surprise, especially when they want to do things like snatch, take your last warrior, swing in, go for game, and you have the magic cylinder already just mained. And just that extra burn damage is so powerful in a deck like this. Triple Jar of Greed, because it's such a good card. We're just speeding into our combo pieces, getting all the cards that we need. It's also great back row, you know, bluffs, and it protects our solemn. Um, just because we can set, and hopefully they target the Jar of Greed. Dust Shoot is just so good in this deck because we know how good Dust Shoot is, period, right now. And also combining that with Solemn Judgment, man, you get rid of, you know, a monster from their hand, you get hand knowledge, and you know what it is that you absolutely have to block in order to keep your last warrior on the field. So just those two combined solve so many of the issues that I've seen with other Last Warrior builds. I did not like Light of Intervention. It felt bricky to me. It felt cool when you got everything, working and in place. But I think Dust Shoot's just a much more versatile card, especially if you're blocking summoning. They can really only set one at a time. It's gonna clog up their hand, so it's just good in a deck like this, and that's the rationale for it. So let's get into the stratagems just really quickly. So you really just want to go into your last warrior if you have protection ready. Ideally, you're going into last warrior and you have a solemn set, and you have some sort of monster removal, whether that's dust shoot, whether that's tribute to the doomed with the serpent in hand, um, whether that's knock to get rid of their sets. You just want to have last warrior ready to go, and you want to have the protection ready. So hopefully you have your interdimensional matter transporter solemn to back up your last warrior. Like I've been talking about, honestly, having solemn and dust shoot is just such a powerful combo, especially in a build like this where you just need one card to stick and you need to get rid of monsters, which is kind of contradictory because you would think, well, isn't it already he's getting rid of monsters since you can't summon? But the fact is they can still set. So this combination of solemn and dust shoot, it stops anything because you have solemn. You get hand knowledge because you're peering into their hand with dust shoot, and you get monster removal, so you can get rid of annoying things like Night Assailant, Cyber Jar, DD Warrior Lady, DD Assailant, all those kinds of monsters where if you were to attack into its set, it would remove your last warrior. So IMT literally just helps Last Warrior dodge anything. Dodge Mirror Force, dodge Ring, dodge Raigeki Break, dodge Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, Snatch, Smashing Ground, you name it, it basically dodges it. Because you just chain it to whatever their removal is, and then you just bounce it until the end phase, and then it returns, and no more summoning again. So Interdimensional Matter Transporter, it is such a cool card. It saw some resurgence with some relinquished builds, and I just figured, wow, why not pair it with, another monster with an awesome effect like Last Warrior. So I do have a replay, and it's actually a match, and it's going against Reasoning Gate, and it was really cool because this guy running his Reasoning Gate build, it was something that we've seen on the channel way back in the day. So shout outs to Sam10 for having a spicy build. And yeah, let's get into the gameplay and let's check out how fast we can get into Last Warrior. So he just goes straight up nothing, turn one, and I'm like, great, I'm gonna take advantage. So we go into Stein, And I'm just going into Stein right away because I have so much back row to protect this last warrior. So I go in for 2350. And here's the biggest mistake, and don't ever be like me in this regard. Uh, for whatever reason, I don't set my mirror force, and I hold it. And I do set the solemn. I do have IMT, and I do have MST. So I solemn judgment the true nade. Then he goes lightning vortex. So I decide, you know what, I'm gonna dodge it. And then he goes into reasoning. So he's running reasoning gate, and yes, this is one of the weaknesses of IMT, is there is a window for them to get around it. But usually most decks you're not able to just combo off like this and just get multiple summons. You usually only have a normal summon and maybe one special summon. But in his case, you know, he's really able to just pop off. You get 3 summons. He's playing the fire reasoning gate. And that's why I should have set the mirror, because that would have been game. You know, my last warrior would have came back during the end phase, and you know, I would have mirror force cleared his field. He would have had no cards, and I could have just kept swinging for 2350. So here we're gonna go game 2, and we're not gonna make that same mistake. So we go set, draw of greed, scapegoat. Here I was running drop off instead of trap dushu. I think drop off is actually pretty sick, just because it doesn't, you know, it's not restricted by having 4 cards in your opponent's hand, and you just straight up say get rid of whatever card that you drew. And in a deck like this, where you're sticking last warrior, you're kind of relying on your top deck. So I also do think that drop off is pretty spicy. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, what do you think? Drop off, is it also maybe a viable inclusion or something that we could add in? I don't know. What do you think? Okay, so here it's looking pretty good. He does have 2 back row set. So I'm not going to rush into my last warrior. I want to make sure that I have my solemn set before we go. And I do hit the drop off to snipe the vortex, which is actually really nice. We go Jar of Greed to draw a little bit further, and we have an extra copy of UC in hand. We go into last warrior. We're going to swing in. He has ring, and you know what? I will just take the first ring. Not going to solve. I'm not going to try to stick it to the board. Here we draw super nice, and we get the Prima. And yeah, honestly, so good. Because in this deck, you are sending crazy fat boss monsters to the graveyard. So Prima, Call the Haunted, really useful for generating more pressure, and also goes well with, you know, going into our 2nd or 3rd copies of Last Warrior. So he chains the scapegoat to the Prima, and I'm just going to solemn it because I don't want to give him that kind of advantage. And I want to swing in for game here. So we go 2800, and I'm going to swing in with my normal summon Fusey for that extra 1400. I'm going to set the IMT. He goes into reasoning. And fortunately, he gets into twin-headed, which swings in 2 times at 1700. So he can't swing over my Fusey. And again, he gets the twin-headed. He goes into card destruction, trying to draw deeper into the deck. He's going to swing in here, pokes me for 300, and yeah, I'm going to go into graceful, and it's looking pretty good for me here. And I go into Tribute to the Doomed, and I'm just going to swing in here for game. But unfortunately, he does have the scapegoat. So even if I were to MST or Heavy Storm the back row, he would have chained it. So he goes Giant Trunade, which fortunately actually benefits me because it bounces Prima back to hand. Um, but I do chain my scapegoats. So he goes Thousand Eyes Restrict, and he's able to take the Fusey, but fortunately I was able to hit the scapegoats off the Trunade. So they're my chump blockers for now. And lo and behold, I draw into my Magic Cylinder. I'm going to go set, set. He goes into his battle phase, and I'm just able to Cylinder for game. So Cylinder is just such a unique out, especially when they're trying to steal your monster with Thousand Eyes Restrict or Snatch. You just have Magic Cylinder, and it's such a crazy swing. 2350 or 2800 is just a lot of damage, so it's really nice. He puts up the Swords of Revealing Light to stall, and that's okay because I actually don't have my pieces yet either. And goes into another set, and we're really just, you know, buying time while his Swords of Revealing Light is counting down. And I set the Threatening Roar already just because I had 2 copies, didn't want to discard something, didn't want to discard the Serp either. So he goes Raigeki Break, and fortunately he hits the Scapegoat, so I don't know what he discarded. Meta, I guess. Then he's going to go into Reasoning, and I call 8. I just want to block the D-Mock, and I'm able to snipe it. So now it's my turn, and get the card that I'm looking for. We go into our last warrior play, and I don't have any protection for it, but I just want to start stacking the damage. I wonder if he has Scapegoat. Ah, he does. So we go set IMT to protect, and he goes Vortex again. So I am able to dodge with IMT. He will return during the end phase, but he is able to go kind of go off, honestly, yeah, because it's still his main phase 1. So he gets his Dimension Fusion back, and I didn't set enough back row, honestly. And he goes Monster Gate to get rid of his D-Mock to banish it, and then he banishes something from the graveyard to bring out his Spirit of Flames. He tributed, or I think he Monster Gated for Twin-Headed, so looking to get a lot of damage right now. Brings back his D-Mock, hits the Giant Trunade to clear field and really just go for game, but I do have the Threatening Roar. So this upcoming turn, I actually know that I'm cooking because I have so many things. I'm going to clear the face down just in case. I'm going to set all of my guys here, and let me just clear out one monster at a time. And that was actually really good because if I had left him up, I think he would have been at a pretty high attack. I don't know if he would have had 3,000. But here, yeah, just like that, I'm able to get game because I have Cylinder, and I even had the ring set. So yeah, I don't know. I like this game. I like this match, and I like that even through the playthroughs that the opponent had of like, doing all their reasoning plays, I was still able to, hold them off. I think Magic Cylinder is I see why it's at 1. If I had 2 Magic Cylinder in this deck, oh man, that would be like disgusting. Um, but yeah, just being able to stall with it and just straight up win me the match. So shout out to Magic Cylinder, shout out to Last Warrior for being able to stick it through and be such a threat that, the opponent just has to answer it right away. Yeah, what a fun build. Thank you, Nobodysbusinezz, for inspiring the build. And yeah, I'm hoping to put out more content. I actually, shout outs to the legends that stay to the end of the video. I will give you a sneak preview, or actually, let me know. I have an ultimate Evo pill dino deck that I've had in my back pocket for a while now. I feel like I really innovated when it comes to like dinos in GOAT format. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, special shout outs to all of you guys that's stuck around. If you're new here, please go ahead and you want to see your deck built out on my channel. I actually build these profiles for my subs, and all you have to do is just sub to the channel, leave me a comment of a deck that you'd like to see, and if you get the most likes, I'm going to build out your deck. I'll put together this guide, I'll get a replay of it, and yeah, I'll put out your deck. So I hope you enjoy, and shout outs to all of you guys watching, hanging in there till the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully I can see your deck next. Peace guys, take care.